Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable, the lecturer Sir Henry Saputra MPD is the lecturer by the English literature class and all of my beloved friends. And first of all, let us thanks to the Allah Subhanahu wa Taala because of His blessing we are able to come here to join in this Zoom meeting to get a discussion together. And don't forget to say salawat for our Prophet Muhammad SAW because he struggle who has brought us from the dark age to the bright age like now. Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation today is about the literature, teaching literature through a drama. And now I will read one by one our agenda today. The first one session is opening, the second one session is introduction, the third session is presentation time from the presenters, this fourth session is question and answer, and the last session is closing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's open our meeting by saying basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Okay, I will introduce our member. The first is me, Meriska Oktariani, and then Muhammad Rahul Alfarizi, and the last is Amrina Rosada. Okay, for the next agenda is presentation session. And before we start the presentation, I will tell the table of content with the material is teaching literature through drama. The first is the definition and characters of drama, and then element of drama, and then beginning group exercise, and the next is dialogue activity, and then drama activity for understanding conflict. Next. And role-playing story situation. The next is using playwriting to teach literature. And the next is changing an adolescent novel into a play. And the next is responding to drama. And the last is responding to Shakespeare's plays. Okay, the next slide. Okay, let's start. Next. Okay, the first material is definition and characteristic of drama. The material will present by by Muhammad Rahul Alfarizi. From Rahul, time is yours.
Okay, thank you to the moderator. I will explain a definition and characteristic of drama. According to etymology, the term drama departs from the Greek word draumai, which means one who acts, and acts. Based on the history of the word, drama text can be understood as an act or action that is written and then used in performance on a stage. Along with the development of the time, drama is not only limited to be being performed between stages. Nowadays, drama can be defined as a story that is performed on stage or not performed on stage. For example, such a film, television, radio drama, and so on. The characteristics of the drama that need to be considered are: the first one is dramatic texts have stories in the form of dialogue, both spoken by the narrator and characters. The second one is all dialogue in the drama text do not use question marks. The third one is the text of the drama must be act or stage. The fourth is drama text can usually be performed with a duration of less than 3 hours. The fifth is drama text cannot be repeated in a certain period of time. And the last one is drama text contains a lot of conflict and action. Next, please. B. Element of drama. First, intrinsic element. A. Character and characterization. The character in the drama text has the meaning as a fictional character in a drama story. Meanwhile, the characterization in the drama text is a picture that tells that the character of the character. B. Background or setting. The setting or setting in drama text is an aspect of space or place, time to the atmosphere of the events in a drama text. C is plot. The plot in a drama text is a series of events that are interwoven in a literal text based on the law of cause and effect. The plot itself can be understood as the pattern of interrelation of events to move the story towards conflict and resolution of the story. D. Theme. The theme in the drama text is a main idea that is supported by other interwoven elements, such as character, plot, and story setting in the form of dialogue. E. Mandate. The mandate in the drama text is a message conveyed by the author to the reader of the drama text or the audience of the drama. The second one is intrinsic elements. The first one is biography or biography of author of the play text. B is a philosophy of life of drama text writer. And the last is socio-cultural elements of the community that are the inspiration in making script or drama text. Next, please. The next material is beginning group exercise. For many adolescents, getting up in front of the rest of the class is frightening and stressful situation. Group exercise are a good way of introduction dramatic activity in a relative risk-free environment. Students will feel a certain safety in numbers. If everybody else is doing it, it can be all that bad. And by going slowly, at first, teachers who are not accustomed to this type of instruction can learn along with their students. The following are some exercise to use during the first 1 or 2 days of group work. Their purpose to help students relax and feel confident about what they are doing. Students can get warmed up, have some fun, and learn. To concentrate their energy in a theatrical context, these teachers should provide a lot of floor space for this exercise by pushing off all of the desks in the room into a large circle or simply against the walls. Once students have spent 1 or 2 days doing this nonverbal exercise, they should feel relaxed enough to use drama as a way of looking at literature. Back to moderator.
Okay, thank you so much for Rahul. Okay, next, please. Okay, the next material is dialogue activity. This material will present by me. Okay, the dialogue activity. You can see in the PowerPoint slide. The purposes of dialogue activity is can be used to help student learn to invert the meaning of characters' dialect. So, dialect activity can be used to help students to invert the meaning of character dialect in plays, story, novels, or dramatic poem. The meaning of any dialect in a classroom, at home, over the telephone, or in a book depends on the context in which that dialect occurs. This initial activity focuses on the nonverbal components of that context. Teachers and students should realize that the written play isn't really a play because it is a script. So it is a script. A play includes actor, sets, props, like an audience. The script is only the dialect with a view, stage direction. The written play or script, in other words, is the skeleton of an event that is in reality much bigger and more multidimensional. How different actors portray even in plays depends on their personality, intention, the circumstances surrounding uh, the characters in the play, and many other important elements. Inferring the subtext of a skin involves inferring the circumstances or context surrounding the dialect. So, for dialect activity, the purpose is to help students. Okay, the next. Okay, next is E, drama activity for understanding conflict. So guys, conflict is the backbone. Okay, conflict is the backbone of story and basic element in most play. Some students may only see conflict as a clashing of two competing forces and not as a problem of personality differences. Yes, and subtle changes in individuals' moods or problems of location and times. So, understanding conflict also requires some understanding of the social and cultural confusion averting in a given situation. Improvisation can focus on how conflict result from differences in behavior in different situations with different groups of people governed by different convention. And they can focus on how violation of confession create conflict. So again, conflict is the backbone. And the next, F, role-playing situation. What is role-play? Role-playing is the changing of one's behavior to assume a role, either unconsciously to fill a social role or consciously to act out and adopt role. So what is purpose role-playing story situation? Role-playing to help students to gain insight into the motivation for character action. In this technique, students are faced with the problem of choosing a right ending. So, from role-playing story situation, it is to help students to gain insight because I think in the role-playing story, um, the student get the problem of choosing appropriate in endings. Okay, the next. Okay, next is the using writing to teach literature. Students may write a short story or poetry to come to a fuller understanding of this genre to come to a fuller understanding of dramatic dialogue. So, students could begin to plan an improvisation around a specific conflict and character traits. Just a student may write a story or poetry to come to fuller understanding of this genre. And then on student have divine conflicts between two people, then three, they can improvise a skin to generate dialect, or they can improvise monologue for individual characters who are having internal conflicts like trouble with their parents, friends, school, and so forth. In developing a conflict, student may also focus on characters' personality difference. A shy boy and a bold girl maybe, and maybe a student having trouble understanding what is going on in class. And so in using writing to teach literature, it's to help students to improvisation around a specific conflict and character traits from the drama. Okay, that's all my material. Okay, the next material. Next slide, please. The next material is changing an Odlaiskin novel into a play. This material will present by Amrina Rosada. Amrina, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I will continue the next explanation. H, changing adolescent novel into a play. Adolescent novels are particularly well suited for adaptation. filled with dialogue, action, familiar themes, and the characters in the books are the same age as members of the class. If students' story don't have time to work with an entire novel, they could adapt a short story. Students could also consider the option of creating a script and storyboard for a video production of a novel. Segment of a novel, story biographical, essay, myth, or poem. In selecting of a novel for adaptation, teachers should assess the amount of rewriting necessary based on the amount of dialogue employed and the length of the novel. After reading the novel, students discuss which scene would be impossible to recreate on stage and which scene were essential. By discussing the play in this way, the student create the possibilities for the play and the play became their own early in the process. It is essential that students understand the themes because they serve as the basis for editing and selecting material from the novel. Students need to determine what they are ultimately trying to say in the play. The major theme the students extracted from the novel was that of an individual standing up for a value the rest of the people in the society was threatening to their own existence. Next, please. Responding to drama. While the activities we have already discussed should help students articulate their responses to fiction, they will also be useful in encouraging students to respond more fully to plays. In responding to drama, that lost meaning must be supplied by the reader. In responding to drama, there are several perspectives to help students respond to a story. First, a textual perspective. Students could view a video or the version with Dustin Hoffman, as Willy Loman is especially good, of the entire play or single scenes, or they could read aloud the lines to each other. Students could then pair up and conduct line by line, think of lots of the scenes. In responding to the dialogue, students could describe not only what the characters are saying to each other, but also what they are doing the speech acts of asserting, questioning, requesting, advising, praising, announcing, or criticizing, and consider the characters' motives for behaving as they do. Second, a social perspective. In responding from a social perspective, students could discuss their own emotional reaction to the characters and attempt to look at the source of that reaction. Students could also discuss their responses to the characters in terms of their own self-concept and the force saving their self. Third, a cultural perspective is the student can considering how their own attitudes and value shape their responses to drama. And last, a topical perspective is the student can applying what they know about certain topic, field, or subject matter areas to drama. Next slide, please. J. Responding to Shakespeare's plays. Shakespeare's plays are a canon of approximately 39 works written by English poet, playwright, and actor William Shakespeare. The exact number of plays as well as their classifications as tragedy, history, or comedy is a matter of a scholarly debate. Shakespeare's plays are widely regarded as being among the greatest in the English language and are continually performed around the world. Okay, that's all from me. Back to Mara.
Okay, thank you for Amrina for the explanation. Okay, next slide. Okay, guys, I think that's all from us for the presentation. So if you have the question, you can ask us the question by WhatsApp group or e-learning or personal chat with the member of a group of English literature. Okay, thank you so much for your great attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.